Three, two, one. We're going live. What's up, beautiful people? It is Saturday night, the 1st of July. Oh, I am going to need to dismiss my text notifications. Hopefully, that doesn't make a bunch of racket. Otherwise, I will change my settings. But hope you guys are doing well. Happy Saturday night. It is 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern on Saturday, July 1st. And I just got back from Florida last night. Went there for a quick family vacation, just a little 5-day trip, and was in northeastern Florida, a little place called Amelia Island. So, not exactly the bass fishing capital of the US, but let me address you guys real quick, and then I'll tell you about the trip. And then we'll get into looking at discounttackle.com and some of the deals that they've got going on right now for the 4th of July weekend. So tonight I'm drinking just a little Coors Banquet beer, celebrating Colorado in a Denver Nuggets koozie. Let's go Nuggets, NBA champs. Hope everybody's doing well. We got Frank in the house. First one here. Chicken fried steak. What's up? What you talking about, Willis? Brendan in the house. How's it going, man? We got Tom Mix. All right, Brendan says, dude, it's okay. You're allowed to be opinionated. No problem. And it's fine, if yours blew out. But I think my point was just saying that I think you have a tendency to fish aggressive baits more quickly and on heavier lines. So, when we're talking about a traditionally sized, a very typical flat side crankbait, I just don't think they tend to be up your alley. You tend to like things that are oversized or not true flat sides, and you use bigger lines. So I'm not surprised that you wouldn't be able to feel it, and perhaps fishing it too fast, it is going to blow out. So, yep, no problem, dude. You're allowed to be opinionated. Dude, 110 degrees. That's ridiculous. The Florida trip was awesome. As you can see, I got a little bit of a tan. I don't know if you can tell or not, but yeah. So I've got my discount tackle hat on. I'm going to flip it around backwards so that you can see my face a little bit better. But the Florida trip was super fun. It was a family vacation, right? It was a beach trip more than anything. So we went to like 4 or 5 different beaches during the 5 days that we were there. We had a lot of really good meals out on the water. We spent a lot of time at the pool at our hotel. We stayed at the Omni Hotel on Amelia Island, and they do have some ponds on the property. So I really only found 2 opportunities to get out for 2 hours the first time and like an hour and a half the second time. So very limited on time, and had little to no knowledge of what was in the body of water, let alone what it would be like. And unfortunately, I didn't get out at the right time of day. I wasn't able to get out during sunrise or sunset, and the water was blazing hot. So that was kind of crazy. I was out in the afternoon, right? From like 2 to 4 p.m. when my kids were sleeping. And so not exactly the best time to go fishing. However, I did throw like the kitchen sink at them. I was hoping to initially catch them on top water. It didn't look like there was a tremendous amount of stuff for me to get hung up on top. So I did throw a whopper plopper, and I did throw a few different poppers. I threw the Rebel P70, and I threw the Megabass Pop X. I think I also threw the Evergreen Shower Blows Frog a little bit, but all to no avail on top water. And then I went a little bit subsurface on them, started throwing around the Daniel T special, the Uoze swimmer in black and blue. Eventually went to a jackhammer in black and blue with a little spicy beaver from Reaction Innovations as the trailer. No takers on those. Eventually I was just starting to feel desperate and low on time. So I started going a little bit more typical on them. And I dipped into my zip bag of soft plastics. And, you know, I think I only threw a couple of baits at them when it came to soft plastics. I probably should have thrown the Junebug Kitech, right? But I didn't. What I did throw kind of right away and just started covering a lot of water with was the pink Super Fluke. And I did see a couple of chasers, like a good 3 or 4 pounder. Chased my fluke right up to the bank. That got me excited. And then I wasn't able to entice any to bite in short order on that. So I switched over from it to the Magnum Ultra Vibe Speedworm. I know in kind of an untraditional color, this old purple. And about 10 minutes later, did get my one and only bite for that day. And it was a decent fish. Nothing special in this pond, for being honest. I mean, the fish that I saw chase my bait was probably twice as good as any of the fish that I caught. And I'll tell you that I only caught 3 fish total. So that first fish got a lot of family photos, but was this dude right here. And I was just swimming it with a 5/16 ounce tungsten weight. You know, probably a little shy of 2 pounds. Not a huge fish by any means, but still a beautiful and healthy looking Florida largemouth. And that felt exciting to actually catch a fish in that pond. And then I did take the family back there the next day, and they got tired and cranky real quick. And so they left. There was a playground near that pond. So they hung around for a little bit, but they left and went back to go to the pool. And I stayed and fished for an hour and a half. And I caught 2 fish on the same rig, but on a Turbo Fatties from Z-Man. So just a standard green pumpkin color, even though it was pretty, should I say tannic? Dark colored water, but it was relatively clear. So caught these fish like back to back in 15 minutes was the difference in time frame. The second fish that I caught was really dark and really skinny, but fairly long. And he wolfed it. So that was fun. There were a couple of little kids that swung by and were fishing alongside me and were excited to see me catch those 2 fish. So regardless, I caught 3 total fish in a little over 3 hours of fishing, but was not on vacation to go fishing. So it was fun to be able to break out some of my stuff and use that new travel rod that I bought right before the trip. It held up quite well. Again, like I said, I thought would be the case. I really only used the medium heavy tip on it, but it did the job quite well, especially for a $150 rod. I would expect that it should perform pretty well, but it did. And I think I just used one of the 3 reels that I brought, and that was the Lew's shoot, what's it called? It's the black one. Um, Daniel T should know. It's all black. Custom black. The Lose Custom Black. Had 50-pound Suffix 832 to a short 20-pound Maxima Ultra Green mono leader. But anyway, let me catch up on your guys' comments. That was the short and dirty on my trip to Florida. Had a beautiful time, got a lot of sun, enjoyed our time, and great hot weather that we haven't had here yet in Colorado. Today, the high was like 75, pushing 80 degrees, and it felt blazing hot for Colorado. So we've had very unconventional, very non-typical summer weather here in Colorado. Just a year or two ago, we had 100+ degree weather every single day in July, and haven't seen that just yet. Severe storms where Tom is today. We've had a lot of hail so far this summer. John Long in the house. Midwest Fisherman in the house. What's up, guys? How you doing? Yeah, you can't trust Brendan with his low, nice, late night voice. Try not to wake up anybody in the house. You know, I've got 3 people upstairs sleeping right now, but do you hear me talking like this? Absolutely not. You're going to hear me project my voice, and you don't have to turn up your volume and wonder why I'm whispering. So, yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. Marty's cranks are not typical flat sides. Okay, let me catch up on your comments. Matt in the house. Hope work's going pretty well for you tonight. And time is flying by so far. Didn't realize that you work the night shift. Are your dispensaries open like all night long, or what in the world? How is it that you're working right now at 11 p.m. and when does work end for you, dude? Interesting. You did go the homeless fisherman route and get a paddleboard for fishing. That's pretty sweet. 505 fishing. How you doing? It performed quite well. Honestly, I was very happy with it. It was light. It set the hook quite well. You would not know that it's a 3-piece rod. And so I'm kind of curious to use it more when I'm not traveling and play around with the different tips and see how versatile of a rod it might be if I could just bring 2 or 3 reels with me, and then that one rod with the 2 tips. Should be able to do a lot with it. So thank you for asking. I am pretty pleased with it so far. Now I've only set the hook on 3 fish, but I guess maybe I missed 2 fish, but that was just because they either were nipping at it or they chomped it and then spit it before I could set the hook on them. But yeah, I got a few more bites than fish that I landed. But yeah, I don't know that I would say solid fish, but I was happy to catch them nonetheless. You know, a fish is a fish for the most part. Julie, how you doing tonight? I don't know if I recognize you, but I'm happy that you're here. Happy Saturday night. Coffee color is a good way to put it, man. That is kind of what color the water was in Florida. Definitely like a clearish brown. And the deeper it is, the darker it looks. So a lot like coffee in that way. Good points. Yeah, I don't have a lot of gambler stuff. And, you know, I'm a weirdo when it comes to packaging. And I really don't love the way that Gambler packages their swim baits. So I'm kind of a stickler for that. And the couple times that I've bought their swim baits, I just noticed that all the tails are kinked. I know some people say that that doesn't matter at all to them, but it kind of does to me. So, yeah, I suppose I should have considered bringing them, but I've got so much confidence in the Kitech that I figured I would bring those and use them in that June bug color if it came to it. I probably would have just thrown it on the same rig, Texas rig with a light bullet weight in the front, or even thrown it weightless like I did with the Fluke, and then just thrown a couple nail weights up in the belly, um, which is one rigging that Kitech always mentions and has plastered all over their website. But I don't think anybody really fishes it like that. I'll show you guys again because I think it's cool that the bait was designed like that, but I don't think anybody really knows or talks about it unless you were to look at Kitech's website. You'll notice there's 2 dimples right in this section of the body, and it's intentional. There's one there in the light and another on the opposite side right there in the light. You're supposed to put nail weights right there to keel weight from the underside and fish this thing on just a weightless hook, so you don't have to use a worm weight, a bullet weight, or even a keel weighted, belly weighted swim bait hook. So pretty cool deal. Yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah, pretty cool. What's up, Adam? How you doing tonight? Good to see you in here. Yeah, that's a good point. Roland Martin loves his green pumpkin Senkos. What's the color number? 503, 305, 303. I don't know what it is. 303 is my area code. Cheers to Denver. Adam, that's a great question. Frank, you're sharing your fires with all of us in the US. Can you at least share some of that maple syrup with us, dude? I see. Dude, Matt, how big are you, man? Um, Slash, how good is your security? Not to knock on you, uh, but what if you were to get into a pinch, dude? Are you confident in your abilities? Is my Wi-Fi choppy right now? Can you hear me, or am I going in and out? I've got a little Wi-Fi signal here saying that my connection might be unstable. Is that true? All right, I'm going to scroll ahead and try and catch up to you guys. Dave Jolly in the house. Elbow deep in some popcorn. No problem, dude. Good for you, dude. What were you catching them on? I think my thumbs are just healing from yesterday and the day before, but they've still got the scratches on them, but they're starting to heal up. Dude, you got to use the short nail weights, or you got to clip. If you're using lead weights, you can just clip them down, but you can buy tungsten nail weights that are like 3/32 each. So you add those in, and together you get 3/16, something of the sort. I think I brought a couple with me. That might be sitting in the bottom of this bag. You can see some tungsten worm weights, but I could have sworn that I brought the nail weights as well. I shoved a bunch of stuff in last minute. I got the Owner Haymaker hooks and a couple of beast hooks and stuff like that because I didn't know if maybe I was going to throw a mag draft either. I think I did throw a Rage Bug too at one point, but I was mixing it up kind of a lot. Matt says he's 6 foot with his boots. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, guys. In we go to talk about Discount Tackle. I'm going to share my screen if I can. and we're gonna go over and talk about discount tackle. I didn't see Daniel T in the house tonight, so I'm gonna go ahead and share with you in the live stream chat my link for discount tackle. If you didn't already know, I am an ambassador over there. Um, Funny enough, was actually the first one helped start their brand ambassador program, and I'm a big fan of discount tackle. I shop there on a regular basis and did before I became a brand ambassador. So it is one of my favorite places to fish online for fishing tackle, especially if you like to save some dough. So let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger for you. There we go. That'll play. So, as you'll notice, they're advertising specifically 20% off all Z-Man, Yamamoto, and Berkeley products from now through the 5th of July or through the 4th. I thought it was through the 5th as well. I'll check my email real quick and confirm that for you. I guess it ends at midnight on the 4th. So, unlike, say, the Hookup that's doing their sale through the 5th, this is just through the 4th. So you've got another 3 days. So hop on and check it out. But let's take a peek at some of the stuff. This is like, 9 pages worth of gear. So we'll kind of go through it pretty quickly. And I'll tell you what I recommend, what I like best from these 3 brands, and what I would get if I were you, and what I am planning to get, whether it's for me or for you guys for a future giveaway. And don't even start to give me a hard time about giveaways. I know, I've got your stuff set aside. I have not made it to the post office in 8 years. Just kidding. But it's been well over 8 months probably since I've shipped out the 3 or 4 packages that I owe the few of you guys. I know really only one of them is a true giveaway, but still, I feel bad about that. So don't give me a hard time. But I do keep you guys in mind. I do have a giant pile of giveaway stuff to do, and just need to get around to planning all of that. So Z-Man is going to take up a decent chunk of this stuff, right? So on page number 1, I'm not going to go through every single bait, but obviously the jackhammer in a 3/8 ounce at 20% off, $12.79 is a good deal. So if for whatever reason you need to stock up on jackhammers, you should do so. I have done a tremendous job at doing that over the last handful of years and have more than I need for the next year or two. Of course, occasionally I get suckered into buying a new color or two, right? I don't think I really have many of the blueback herring or the dirty white, which are newer colors, with that gold blade. The Firecraw orange blade is relatively new. For a while they just made it with the black. I almost prefer the black blade, if we're being honest, but $12.79 is a good deal, and every single color is in stock right now. So if you need jackhammers, do it over there. The half ounce is same price. I think it gets a little more expensive once you get up to the 3/4, and they've only got 2 colors that are out of stock in the half ounce. My favorite colors, by the way, in the jackhammer historically have been the Heights Hot Craw, the Bee Height Delight, and the Black and Blue. And I don't know if it has to do with those 3 colors covering my bases with imitating a wide variety of bait patterns, or if it has to do with the fact that the blades are not silver or gold on any of those. It's green pumpkin on the Bee Height Delight. It is black on the Black and Blue, and it is green pumpkin on the Heights Hot Craw. But for me, that's a big deal. It's also got a green pumpkin blade on the green pumpkin shad as well as the green pumpkin. Those have been good producers for me as well. So jackhammer is kind of an obvious must. All of the TRD series of baits are legit. Yamamoto Seiko, you kind of can't go wrong with. That is the OG best chatterbait trailer. If we were to compare it to some of the others that will come up, um, you'll notice it's a pretty standard deal, right? You're getting each bait for a little less than $1. They're not the most durable, but they have a fantastic action that is just undeniable. And they've got them in some great colors that match the jackhammer really well. So this on the Beehide Delight is money. And yeah, I do recommend it. They've got the Senko on sale at $6.39. So anything Yamamoto that you are a fan of, you should consider stocking up from Discount Tackle this weekend. So they've got the Senko in a bunch of different colors. In the 5-inch, most are in stock right now. Okay, so probably 60 plus colors, and then they've got maybe 15 or so that are out of stock. But that's not too shabby. 10-pack for $6.39 is not bad. The Diesel Minnows I prefer in the 4-inch over the 5-inch, but it is a fantastic bait. You'll notice that I had it rigged up on that Uoze swimmer from Megabass right here. It's a super versatile soft plastic swim bait. And if you've got a bait keeper on your swim jig or whatever you're throwing it on, even on a jackhammer, it does really, really well. And it is one of the few paddle tail swim baits that I do recommend on the back of a chatterbait. One is the profile. It is thin, almost like you would get out of an Easy Shiner from Kitech. And so it works well. Plus the Elastec and its thinner tail, I think, allow for it to not impede the action of the chatterbait. But its durability is the main draw, and it's got a really good action on it as well. So Diesel Minnows definitely gets the thumbs up from me. Let me catch up on your guys' comments as I am jumping back and forth. The Seiko, it's got to be in a 4-inch if you're throwing it on a chatterbait, specifically on a jackhammer. You could throw the 3-inch if you are if you're throwing a tiny chatterbait, right? But I don't do that. I tend to go for a little bit more natural of a profile, like with the Strike King Baby Z2 or the 4-inch jerk shads from Z-Man, or I'll go down to a downsized version of the Z-Man Goat. We haven't talked about the Goat yet, but that has become perhaps my favorite all-around trailer in the last 2 seasons. Just like the Strike King Menace Grub was for a number of years as kind of a do-it-all trailer, especially on moving baits. The Z-Man Goat is fantastic. So that has kind of become a go-to for me. All right. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I understand a lot of people like it or have liked it for quite a long time. I don't think the Seiko it comes in a 5-inch. It's really just a 4-inch, and then they recently made the 3-inch like a year or two ago. Okay. So on we go. Hula Sticks is an underrated bait for its size. There are not a lot of Z-Man baits in that size aside from the big TRD, and I like the Hula Sticks a lot. It does have a unique taper to it, though, which makes it a little funky for rigging because it's thinner at the head than it is in the middle of the bait. But It's a sleeper of a Nico rig bait, or at least was until they came out with the bang sticks. Okay. Now, I'm going to just kind of pass some of these other baits. Uh, Aside from, we've got a Berkeley in here, the Chapo. I did mention this on Debo's stream for 20% off. This is not a bad deal. I prefer the Chapo, just like the Plopper, in either the 75 or the 105 size, as kind of the size that will attract the most number of fish. But I've most recently been throwing the 120. Did just catch my first topwater fish of the year on the 120 one day last week, and it was a tiny fish. So if you want a little bit more profile and sound coming out of your bait, the 120 is a good option. But I think that 105 and the 75, from a profile and action standpoint, are probably my two favorites. Same price tag on all of them, so there's not really an advantage to skipping over the bigger ones. You'll notice that the 120 only weighs 1 ounce. Okay, so that's kind of the same weight wise as the Whopper Plopper 110. So definitely throwable on almost all gear. Just a standard heavy power rod will work just fine. And they've got all the HD colors. This Maverick color is probably my favorite. That's a matte black with a little bit of purple flake in it. Love that color. But they make a lot of really good colors. The one that I just showed you was this MF Shad. It's got some pearlescence to it and is a matte color with a little hit of red on the tail. So underrated bait there in the Chapo, more cost effective than what you get out of the Whopper Plopper, but it is less durable. It's fully made of plastic, so it is more prone to breaking. Say if you were throwing this up on rocks, if you were to make an errant cast with this thing, you could crack the bait, which is much less likely to happen with the Whopper Plopper. So got to keep that in mind. Going to try and move through some of these. I mentioned the 4-inch jerk shads. Really good bait. Mini Max chatterbait. Underrated. Very good. Smaller hook. 2/0 hook on there. So that's where you might want to use a smaller trailer like the 3-inch Baby Goat from Z-Man or the 4-inch jerk shads. Z-Man Fatties is still a bait that I think doesn't get enough love and is just designed so well. At $3.99 a pack, I think if you don't throw this bait already, you should give it a try. Comes 6 to a pack and has a really unique design. You're not going to be able to see here just from this single picture, but on the bottom of the bait, it is wide open. I could track down a pack for you real quick to show you what I'm talking about, because it is a very, very cool design. I used to have all the Z-Man baits up here on the wall, but not at the moment. So here's the fatties. This is a 5-inch stick bait with a unique taper to it. So it is fat at the tip, and then it really tapers down. It gets thin here, so you get a ton of action out of that tip section. But what really makes this thing unique is not just that it's flat on bottom, but that it's wide open here in the middle section of the body. So you get a solid nose, so it's not going to blow out, but you get this wide open section in the middle of the body, which makes it super easy to rig on a shaky head or on a Texas rig. And the hookup ratio on these things is fantastic. Also really good on a Nico rig, as well as on a drop shot. There are a bunch of different ways to use it. And sometimes I'll get creative. I'll cut off the tip here. And then what you have is two separate baits, right? It gives you like a 3.5-inch Ned bait that is perhaps one of the best Ned baits to use on a weedless Ned head because of that open belly slot. And then it also gives you this tiny little crappie bluegill bait. Like they just came out with the, micro Elastec baits last year. And there are already some baits that used to exist on the market, like this Fatties, that I would modify myself and turn into multiple baits just by downsizing and cutting them up and things like that. So yeah, Adam, I was saying I think the 4-inch jerk shads, or in my opinion, the 3.75-inch Baby Z2 from Strike King. This Baby Z2 is like my favorite bait in recent history for especially drop shotting, but also on a Ned rig, on a ball head. You can do so much with this. For a year or two, it was my favorite trailer on the tiny little, I always forget the name of this micro chatterbait. It's the Flashback mini chatterbait. Doesn't come with a skirt on it. I put that on there, but also works really well on the smaller, what's this finesse chatterbait called? I should know the name of it, but I don't remember. Poor rigging job, but you can just see that on a 1 or 2/0 hook, size wise, that is the deal. Okay. So either a 3 3/4 inch or 4-inch fluke style bait, or the 3-inch minnows from Z-Man. Very underrated soft plastic, especially on something like the Mini Max. Okay. So, for the same reasons that I hyped up the 4-inch diesel minnows, I really like the 3-inch minnows. Really good bait. I tend to like it a little bit better on just a finesse jig head like the Z-Man Trout Eye jig head. You're right. It's the Willow Vibe chatterbait. Thank you. But on we go. We don't need to talk about the Fatties from Z-Man anymore, but that's a sleeper of a bait. If you don't use it, you should. Like I said, you could use something like the Nedlocks from Z-Man to rig that Fatties cut down or not, and fish weedless if you want to fish it like a Ned. I'm not going to talk about TRD baits, but the TRD tubes is sleeper. Now, the Baby Goat is the one that I was talking about that would be an awesome trailer, is an awesome trailer on the Mini Max chatterbait, perhaps my favorite. Comes 6 to a pack. The regular goat has been one that for an Elastec bait, I've gone through more packs of the goat than I have probably any other Z-Man bait that I've had in the last 5+ years. And perhaps it's because they only come 4 to a pack and I use them for so many different things. I even fish them by themselves, weightless on top occasionally. If I don't have a different bait on me, like say the new Goat Toads, which, I don't know whether to say it's new or not, but the Goat Toads is an awesome top water soft plastic toad. But before that came out, I would just throw the goat or the billy goat in that same way. It has a tighter kicking action than the Goat Toads does. And yeah, the Goat Toads has a different, or the goat, I should say, has a different profile than the Menace Grub from Strike King, in that it is flatter when it's fished horizontally and narrower when it's fished vertically. So you can still do the same thing and fish it vertically to have that side kicking style action, um, as compared to horizontally, where you get the more traditional craw type of kick. But both work really well. It's just not perfectly round of a bait. Okay. I'm a big fan of a lot of things Z-Man, so we're not going to go through everything. I did actually fish the turbo craws for a little bit in this June bug color when I was in Florida, right before I switched over to the turbo fatties. So forgot to mention that one as well. I did bring that with me. Finesse Eyes jig head from Z-Man works really well on the 3-inch baits as well. Okay, the bang sticks we touched on briefly, but was made to be a Neko rig bait. So where the fatties is an awesome shaky head or Texas rig bait because of what I showed you with the opening in the back. The bang sticks, on the other hand, is solid all the way through and really doesn't have all that much of a taper. It's a very subtle taper, just like you'd get out of a Senko, okay? But you get the ticklers like you get out of the hula sticks, which came first, and then the TRD ticklers, which came second, and then the bang sticks, which came last. And this bait is designed to go on a Neko rig. You use the Z-Man Neko weights, put it right into the nose. It's got a really solid keeper that will hold that weight in there. And then you just use your favorite Neko style or wacky style hook on there, and it's got a tremendous action on it. So bang sticks, if you throw a Neko rig, is kind of a must-have, in my opinion. It's going to give you the right action that you're looking for in a Neko rig bait, especially if you like to throw your Neko rig into higher percentage areas and you're not looking to cover water and move the thing really fast. You can dead stick a Neko rig with a Laztec and it will stand up in place and do what it's supposed to do. Well, Brendan, they are. A lot of other companies have caught on to the fact that Z-Man had a thing going on, and that Elastec itself is a patent that can be worked around, right? So there's probably 4 or 5 other companies at least that are doing that right now, and did not go the same route that Strike King did in asking Z-Man to pour their baits. You'll see here that Strike King, the 0 and Z2 baits are made with Elastec. So they actually say that Elastec and EP are trademarks of Z-Man. But a number of companies have gotten around that in the last handful of years. I have talked a lot about the fact that Savage Gear, with their Duratec material, has made some fantastic baits, specifically the Ned Salamander and their Ned Dragontail Slug are 2 that I really like, but we could talk about more of those on another stream. I also know that Molex has a couple of really good um, elastic style baits. There are a handful of companies that make them, and that could be a conversation for another stream. You know, the Dual Realis Wriggle ND, which I showed you guys recently, is made from an elastomer. What do they call it? Durable, high buoyancy, durable. I don't know how they got around it, but there are probably at least 5 companies making baits out of elastomer and not a standard plastisol. So I am a big fan of it, but only for a handful of certain applications in worms that I want to float and in jig trailers that I want to last and that also to me have a similar action um, that is not beat out by other soft plastics. So anyway, as I said, a lot of these are going to be Z-Man baits. If you're looking to try the Z-Man Hellraiser, you could save yourself $4 instead of paying 15. You could get it for 11 and pick up a Hellraiser or two. They've got them in stock in every color right now. So from bright white to classic bone to chrome to matte black and everything in between. They've got them all in stock right now. If you haven't picked up a Hellraiser, maybe now is the time to do it. I brought mine down to Florida and just didn't see it at the bottom of my box. Had I seen it, I probably would have thrown it instead of the Whopper Plopper first, but I brought it to Florida somehow, some way. Gonna keep it moving. The Trout Eye Jig Head. This is the one that I said matches very, very well with the 3-inch minnows from Z-Man. Giant TRD is an awesome bait. 7-inch jerk shad is a great bait. Berkeley Stunna. If you like this bait and don't have enough of them, this is a good time to stock up. If you don't have them, you might want to check it out. It's a slow sinking jerk bait with a great action. Hank Cherry designed it and won his back-to-back classics on it. And very good jerk bait. Rock solid hooks straight out of the pack. It's got a thin walled plastic and is loud. It's balanced well and is a good bait. Some people might call it a little bit of a 110 knockoff, but because of its sink rate, it is not. Okay. They make it in a standard 3 to 6 foot diver and another 6 to 10 foot diver. But because of that slow sink, you can let it go down a little bit further than that. It's a good bait. I've got a handful of them and like it. The Mag Fatties for a long time was like, to me, I thought was a real sleeper of a Texas rig and Magnum shaky head style worm. Really, really good bait. As you can see, a bunch of other people think the same. 5 of the 8 colors are out of stock. They've got black and blue, Junebug, and plum in stock right now. Enough said on that. I think the Hella Craws is overrated. I don't love the action on it, and therefore I don't fish it a lot. I would much rather throw a Rage Craw or, for the most part, a bug style bait. Okay, these are the Nico Shrooms weights that I was talking about that pair up perfectly with the Bang Sticks to make a Nico rig possible with Elastec style materials. Pro Craws was a great bait that they made. Just a much larger size of the TRD Craws that was originally made. Okay. Yamamoto Senko, already talked about it. Must have. The Billy Goat is an upsized version of the regular goat. It only comes 3 to a pack, but is a great bait. I much prefer it. If you're going to upsize, then say the 5-inch diesel minnows if you want a slightly larger profile. Berkeley War Pig is an awesome lipless crankbait, and they make it in 3 different sizes. Um, I guess here, just the 2 sizes, but the quarter inch or the quarter ounce and the half ounce, both sizes are great. I don't know that 719 sounds like a screaming deal to me, but they make it in some really cool colors, like this Firetail Green Craw, Ghost Morning Dawn, and there's one other in particular that I really do like. I mean, that perch is one you don't see very often. I thought they made it in that matte shad type of color, but perhaps not. Okay, we're gonna keep flying. Only gonna try and talk about baits that I think are really worthwhile. We touched on the Willow Vibe chatterbait. That one's a sleeper. Goat toads. Adam Myhara said it's a really big bait. I don't necessarily agree. I think it's a really good bait. I've got it in like 4 different colors, and I can't keep track of them because I carry them with me. I've got them in a bunch of different colors. This is the color that I throw least frequently. So, oh shit, I'm not even sharing. I should have been sharing. Thank you for saying that, Brendan. I'm just scrolling the website. I apologize. But the goat toads, different than the goat in that the tails are flared out quite a bit more than what you get out of the goat. And you get this thick body that's long, and it's meant to take a single EWG hook. You could throw it on a weighted hook to fish it faster, or on a weightless hook, and this thing is fantastic. You could throw it on a screw lock, but really it's meant for like a mustad grip pin style hook, and that, in my opinion, is the best. You could throw it on a double hook. However, in my opinion, it is not really designed for that, because most likely your double hook is going to punch out in this top section of where the legs attach to the body, and it is going to tear that up a little bit quicker. So for the sake of durability, I would throw this on a single hook, and that is what I do. I also would recommend it on the back of a buzzbait or on the back of anything else that you want to, but I like it. I'll say that much. Now I can go back to sharing so you can see that I was looking at the goat toads, and yep, now's a good time to get them because they're on sale 20% off. But I was showing you that the trout eye jig head pairs up just like the Willow Vibe chatter with that 3-inch Z-Man minnows. Before that, what did I talk about? Berkeley War Pig. I wasn't even sharing my screen when I was talking about the War Pig. I was saying that this Firetail Green Craw is wicked, and the Ghost Morning Dawn color is wicked. Yeah, Ghost Red Craw is cool too, but okay, on we go. Pop Shads, underrated bait. I brought it to Florida in the 5-inch. I don't think I really have any in the 4-inch, but I will just show you right now that I do have a pack of them in my cart in the 4-inch. Okay. You rig it the same way that you do with the goat toads on like a mustad grip pin style hook, and you can skip that thing a mile, but you get a similar action as what you get out of a popper. It will move a lot more water on a slow retrieve than what you'd get out of a swimming top water bait like you get with the goat toads. So underrated bait, worth a look. A lot of Z-Man tonight, huh? TRD Spins is a great bait. Berkeley Slobber Knocker, if you're looking to get them, you can. But I don't think they hold a candle to the jackhammer. So for $1.50 more, I would get a jackhammer. if it were me. Yamamoto Fat Ica on sale for $7.19. That's not a bad deal. The Cowboy, less than $1 per bait. That's a good deal. The Berkley Bullet Pop. I really like this popper, and for $7, I do recommend it. Here the smallest size seems to be out of stock in like every color, but it's a tiny little dude, so I don't necessarily recommend it. I think the middle size, which is really the 3/8 ounce size popper, is, in my opinion, covers your bases for the vast majority of applications and fish that you would be targeting using a popper. Their biggest size is big. Okay, it's a 1/2 ounce popper that's over 3 inches long. It feels big for sure. So keep that in mind if you are going to get a bullet pop. Again, this Maverick color is sweet. I did bring it with me, and oh no, I didn't. But I've got this same exact color in the dual hardcore popper, and I think I had it before I had the Berkley Bullet Pop, and fell in love with the color in that bait before I got it in the Bullet Pop. So I do recommend it. Okay, on we go from the Bullet Pop. We could talk about the Money Badger. I will say I'm glad to see that the Power Stinger went down in price. These started out at like $10.99 a pack or something ridiculous. Maybe they still are on other websites. I'm not sure, but they're $8.99 minus the discount, so $7.19, which is theoretically a good deal for what they were when they first came out. But I don't love the bait itself, and they're expensive, right? In the size that you need to fit on a proper chatterbait, which is the 4.25 inch size, there's only 5 per pack. So even still, you're paying significantly more than you would for a Yamamoto Seiko or something of the sort, and therefore I do not recommend it. Just my opinion, though. If you guys have an opinion on that, feel free to speak up amongst yourselves. The 6-inch Senko is a bait that you don't see very often. Not a lot of people talk about it, but it's a fantastic bait. Only 5 to a pack, so it is kind of pricey, but after the discount, you're only paying really $1 per bait. That's not too shabby. Doesn't come in as many colors, but they've got it in stock in green pumpkin, green pumpkin purple copper, straight black, this cool, like sexy shad type of color, baby bass, fire craw, June bug. Still have it in a number of colors, and then it's out of stock in a few. So might be worth a 6-inch Senko look if you're into that, which I am. But before the Goat Toads, they made the Finesse Frog and the larger version of it. They're good baits, but I think the Goat Toads is definitely better. We already talked about oversized jerk baits, but the Streaks XL is a good one. And at $4.39, only paying $2 per bait. That one and the 9-inch grubs from Z-Man are worth a look. Here's the bigger one, the hard legs frog, the finesse frogs. Those are decent, but you get most Yamamoto soft plastics are worth a deal right now. Here's that Turbo Fatties that I caught 2 of my 3 fish in Florida on, and it's a good deal right now. I think you get 5 to a pack, but it's a 6-inch bait, and it's as fat as the Magnum Ultra Vibe Speed Worm from Zoom. And yeah, it's a good deal. I should have had the June bug with me, but the green pumpkin did the trick. So they've got these in stock in all colors. I do recommend it. And I officially have to pee for the first time in this stream. Hopefully it's not going to be 2 times, but it could be. I will be back in 60-ish seconds, okay? Y'all hang tight. I'm coming back. And we're back. We're live. You guys still here? Well, there's more of you here now. What's up, everybody? Yeah, it does have a nice wag, but I'll say the Turbo Fatties has a great wag as well. Quick pit stop. You're right back. Okay, so moving on. Turbo Fatties is worth a look, guys. $1 per bait, and they last a long time. Really good swimming worm. Relatively new to the market, not talked about enough. Now we're going to get into more Berkley stuff. I'm not going to talk about a ton of it because you really get a mixed bag when it comes to their stuff. This is a sleeper bait if you like to punch smaller soft plastics. Similar profile is what you get from that Yamamoto Psycho Dad, and also like the Crawfather from Missile. Really narrow profile, but a good bait. Yamamoto shad-shaped worm is one of the classic drop shot baits on the market. If you can get it for 20% off, it's a good time to stock up. They make it in some great colors. I very well might get another pack or two. But I have moved on to throwing some other drop shot baits, especially this year. That Ned Salamander from Savage Gear, as well as, like I said, the Strike King Baby Z2 have been really go-to baits for me. This 9-inch Grubs from Z-Man is actually a sweet bait. I'll say that. Okay, the 3-inch Fat Senko gets attention from some people, not everybody. Really good thrown on a wacky rig on a drop shot. But there is a new player to the game, which I quite like for its sink rate and the material that it's made from. And we'll see it in just a moment here. A bait that I'm kind of curious about a little bit. I'm not sure. Have you guys tried this Hercules bait from Z-Man? Pre-rigged swim bait. Comes in 3 sizes. The biggest one is a 6-inch. So kind of like a mag draft, a 1-ounce bait with an 8/0 heavy duty hook in it. It's really made for toothy critters. Big old hook in there, but I'm kind of curious to give it a shot. So we'll see. We've got flatworms. I think in both sizes. This is the smaller original size. So if you like to throw a flatworm, which I do, but there are other baits that I prefer mm, the sink rate, should I say, or the balance on them a little bit better than the flatworm. So I don't throw it quite as much as I did a few years ago when I was just dead set on the Max Scent formula and threw it and the D worm a ton. Um, Good time to stock up on Max Scent baits for sure. Same with Frit sides. If you like the Frit side, it's paper thin, keep in mind. Now, that double tail hula grub has been a staple forever and is a great bait. There's that, oh no, the hit worm, not the D worm is even thinner, but I do throw it as well. The hit worm has been perhaps my favorite of the Max Scent lineup when it comes to finesse worms. Square Bill's a good one. However, I still prefer the KBD 1.5 and the Lucky Craft LC 1.5 over the Berkley Square Bill. So for the price, I'd probably go with one of those other two. And the Yamamoto Ned Senko is the 3-inch stick bait that I prefer these days from Yamamoto. It's made from a floating material that's got a little bit less salt in it than a traditional Yamamoto soft plastic. And I like that. Plus, they make it in some wicked colors like the electric shad, this goby color, super natural color patterns, as well as, Bama bug and a black and blue flake and a bunch of others. So, Ned Senko, I mean, come on. Watermelon moon dust. For less than $5 a pack, 10 baits in a pack. If you haven't tried it yet, now's the time to check it out. The Slinko is one that I haven't fished yet, but I have one pack of, and I'm definitely curious to try it. Also made from their Mega Floater formula, same as that Ned Senko, but it's got all of these ribs built into it. Now, that egg sac is made to throw your hook in it, and then throw a nail weight in the head of the bait and throw it on a Nico rig. The Slinko. Swim Senko is a great bait. I preferred in the 4-inch than the 5-inch. The Cane Walker and the Jay Walker are great topwater baits, especially at that price. So for $8, if you like those baits, you should get them. The Gilly, if you never really hopped on the train, but you're curious to try it, now could be a time since, forever they were really hard to find in stock, and now they are no longer. You can get them in just about any color and size that you would like, and they're in stock and on sale. So keep that in mind if you're feeling a little bit like trying the Gilly. Now, the Fusion hooks are underrated. And so you could probably search through all of the Berkley Fusion hooks, and now is a good time to buy them. They're somewhere between a standard Gamakatsu and a super line in terms of the gauge of wire. And you get a couple more in a pack, and they're cheaper and they're on sale. So kind of hard to go wrong with the Fusion hooks. And most of them. Now, I don't love all of them. Like the gap on their drop shot hook is not my favorite. Yamamoto Flappin' Hog is a sweet bait if you like to throw a wobblehead or a Carolina rig, anything like that. Or just a super bulky jig trailer, or if you like to customize your baits by messing with appendages. I don't really have much experience with the Deal or the Boss grub, but never really was interested in those profiles. Some people might be more loyal to Berkley and have an opinion about them. Same with the D-Shad from Yamamoto. A little bit faster sinking of a fluke style bait. I think a lot of people love it. I've just never really gotten around to using it. It is a 5-inch fluke style bait, and would be a good time to try it out if you haven't. So almost convincing myself of trying it right now. Brendan, I know your Zoom hollow bellies are no longer being produced, but what do you think about the Berkeley hollow bellies in, say, a 6-inch or a 5-inch? Would you try that? What was that Kentucky blue type of color that you really were in love with, or something of the sort? Pro Blue Red Pearl could be a good one. Or their Bone Shad, Gizzard Shad look like good color patterns, but I don't really throw a hollow belly swim bait, so don't have much of an opinion on that. The Speed Senko is a new bait, 7-inch. It does look thinner than the other two that I've already mentioned in the Magnum Ultra Vibe Speed Worm and the Turbo Fatties. So for that reason, I haven't picked it up yet, but the 3-inch shad shaped worm, I picked up a pack or two of and have not yet tried it, and I don't know why. Definitely should be throwing it by now, especially on finicky smallmouth, that even smaller profile, or throwing on like a Demiki rig or something of the sort. Super subtle. Great little bait there. $3.99 a pack, 10 to a pack. It's Yamamoto. Come on. This is that 4-inch swim Senko that for the longest time was just a staple for a lot of people. And for me, on the back of a chatterbait, really good. But it's not really durable. So if you throw it as a trailer on something, do be prepared to run through them, because just running a hook through it will thin out the bait quite a lot. So it's almost better when Texas rigged, but the Swim Senko is, dare I say, underrated? I don't know. And then in comes some of the Max Sense stuff. The Yamacraw I have not gotten around to trying, and probably won't if I had to guess. There's that flatworm in the bigger size, 4.25. I do prefer it in the bigger size than the smaller, just because it even doesn't feel all that big. And you might as well step up. And they've got it in all but one color. Even though I do love this Kobayashi color, it's not like you need it. Let me see what you guys are saying on comments before we keep flying. The Speed Boss is nice. Yeah, I just flew right past that. I believe you, kind of like a cutter worm. It's another swimming worm, right? I mean, you kind of got to pick your favorites when it comes to that type of presentation at a certain point. And I don't like to throw that many different ones. So for now, the Ultra Vibe Speed Worm and the Magnum version, and then that Turbo Fatties from Z-Man are like my two main ones. But yep, I agree. It's probably great on the Mini Max as well. Big Game is on sale. Big Game Leader. Big Game Full Spools. Yep. Brendan's favorite line of all time. And, I'm not going to hate on that, because Berkeley Big Game is good stuff. Nothing wrong with it. Now, I really only throw mono as a leader material, but regardless, it's good. I've heard good things about the Shape 108, but haven't thrown it. These swim bait jig heads are legit, and gosh, are they a good deal? Okay, it's got a solid head, a good bait keeper system on it, and they come a bunch in a pack. I don't think they mention right here, but they come with a bunch in the pack of jig heads, and they've got options, and it's a good deal. So if you need swim bait jig heads, you should consider those. The Yamatanuki, I don't think they have in stock in all the colors right now. Just those two still. But if you're desperate to try it, they do have it, and it's on sale. I've only thrown it twice so far. Haven't caught any fish on it just yet, but it does have an intriguing action. I'll keep you guys posted as I fish it more and what kind of success I do have on it. I don't really, I haven't thrown the Pro Senko or the Thin Senko, um, either of the Thin Senkos. Okay. Same as the 3-inch shad shaped worm. I have the 5-inch, but have not thrown it. This is made from the Mega Floater material, and is meant to be fished more as a fluke than as a trailer or as a standalone drop shot bait. But I think it's also still supposed to be awesome on a drop shot. I'm not totally sure. Um, Berkeley Dredger is a great bait in all of its diving depths. I prefer the smaller body, and so I like it in its medium and shallower diving depths. Now, Berkeley Trilene, there's one version of it that I do like. We're going to keep flying. Yamatanuki Kit is available if you're really wanting to go hard in the paint on the Yamatanukis. So you can get it in the 4 most popular colors like watermelon red, green pumpkin blue, black and blue, and straight green pumpkin. 4 packs worth in these zipper kits, little souvenir for $30. Hard to say how great of a deal that is, but it's also not a bad deal. Say that much. Get more apparel in here. You get Jermaine's favorite little Agent E, which admittedly is a good bait. I didn't think I would like it since it felt awfully like a copy of the Dark Sleeper, but I actually do like it. And it comes 2 to a pack. So it's definitely a better deal than the Dark Sleeper. And I like its weed guard system even better. I don't love that the hook is exposed because I think that's one of the selling points of the Dark Sleeper. But I got over that pretty quickly once I caught a few fish on the Agent E and realized that it comes through cover better. It has as good, if not better, of an action on it, and it's more affordable. So all those things work in its favor. Here's more Berkeley Fusion hooks worth a look. Screw lock keeper. These only come 4 to a pack, so not a tremendous deal, but really good hook. Saltwater Chopo. We've only got 2 more pages. We're flying. Flat nose minnow, if that's your deal. I haven't really thrown it all that much. Fusion Superline hooks. Do recommend it. I do recommend it. They've got them in all sizes, but the 4/0 in stock right now and on sale. It's a good deal. Their treble hooks are fantastic. Okay, so these come in 6 or 8 to a pack, depending on the size that you get. And they're on sale for less than $6. So some of the more affordable, high quality treble hooks that you could get right now and worth a look if you like them. And I do like them. This underspin is a good one, but I've always thought underspins in general are a little bit overpriced. I'd prefer to quasi make my own with a screw in or add on spinner blade beneath the bait and then just throw it on a traditional jig head. But that's just me. Now, if you're like rich, you could get a visor or make your own visor gang. Not a lot interesting down here. Some people might like the lunch worm actually. And we have run out. Have we run out? Oh, there's that new size of the Yamatanuki. 2.5 inch. Little baby guy. And they've got it in one more color, the baby bass. So I'm kind of curious about that, but that does it for the 4th of July sale. It's really just those three brands and like every product that is carried by Discount Tackle. I'll say that one other thing that I really like to do every time I get on discounttackle.com is immediately go to the new arrivals. You can do so by clicking this green new arrivals at the top of the screen or by scrolling down just a little bit and clicking new arrivals. And so they do add new products every couple of days. It's not a ton, but you'll see that this first page or so have all been added in the last couple of weeks. So Yamatanuki in the 2.5. So that was the most recent thing to be added. I don't know if they got all the colors in and they flew out or if they really only got those few colors in stock. The Bounty Fish Junior, I am curious about. I don't know how much smaller it is than the original Bounty Fish, but looks like they've only got it in 3 colors right now, but might be worth a look. Keep in mind, these baits are not going to be significantly discounted because they're not part of the 4th of July sale. So you're going to get just like a marginal, 10% off discount on average. Some Missile Baits jigs, Missile Baits soft plastics. So you get the magic worm in the regular and the mini size, the spunk shad in both sizes. Like that they're carrying more Missile Bait stuff now. Picasso, they're starting to carry a bunch of Picasso stuff, which is cool. So you get some standard jig heads, you get some bladed jigs, get some A rigs, and then a bunch of their wild shaky heads and bladed shaky heads, football and round jigs. This new inline spinner and a spinner bait. They are starting to carry depths, which is cool to see that they've got the slide swimmers in all different sizes. So not at a discount. You tend to see that with a lot of the JDM brands that will not let retailers discount their stuff, but still cool to see that they've got them, right? So I do recommend that. Well, it looks like they sold out of a bunch of colors already. And maybe they're not ordering that many colors to start out with. Maybe they're just testing it out to see how they sell. I mean, the Butch Brown colors, that's good to see that Discount Tackle's going down that route. Got some new Bill Lewis baits. Definitely interested in the ATV square bill. So probably we'll pick up a couple of these. It is that time of month. It's time for me to make my monthly order. So I'm going to mix it up between the 4th of July sale stuff and some of these new things and make a purchase in the next couple of days before the 4th of July sale is over. But I like that the ATV is made in 3 different sizes straight out of the gate, and it's got a variety of colors that are unique and also maybe, very Strike Kingy, right? Oyster and School Bus, which is just, Strike King's Yellow Perch, are, like, exact copycats, and then they've got some that are more, more unique, if you will. This Root Beer Craw looks pretty sweet. Red Glitter Craw looks good. Green Gizzard, it feels like everybody has stolen and started using this color, but I do love it. Same with Fire Craw. But the ATV, I've heard, is a great square bill and one that I will give a go. They started carrying Dirty Jigs, which is cool. So they've got some of the jigs and then some of the jig heads, which is legit. Happy about that. Some more Reaction Innovations soft plastics, as well as the Swamp Donkey. Apparently, Berkeley's coming out with a hollow body frog called the Swamp Lord, which is stupid. But the Swamp Donkey is a great bait. Not a lot of great colors in stock, but so be it. Shiver Glide, I've heard nothing but good things. I made the mistake of only buying it in the smaller size to start out with, thinking it would be a good chatterbait trailer, and it was too small and just not designed to be a great chatterbait trailer, in my opinion. But I've heard it is an awesome fluke style bait. So I am curious to get it in this standard size, which is 5.5 inches, and probably going to try it sooner than later. Some loose reels and rods, some jerky. Funny that makes its way into the new arrivals. Probably won't purchase any jerky, but you start getting into some wacky stuff, right? And then I think we're about a month old by this point. Cool to see that Mule Fishing is coming out with more baits and new innovations, because I definitely like their stuff. Ethan is a good guy. I definitely want to continue to support him. G-Rat, interesting to see that they're venturing into some wonky land for sure, but I'm not mad about it. I just am not in a rush to try it. And then you're all the way back to the Sleeper Craw, month and a half or 2 months ago. So there she is. And here I am. I'm back. What's up, guys? Of course, they make a floating 175 slide swimmer. I have one. In fact, that's the only slide swimmer that I have. But yeah. Not a slow sink, a floater. Oh, by the way, here's that Chad Shad in the rainbow trout pattern. I mean, I know I showed you guys some pictures that I took, but told you guys that I picked it up in both of these colors. So I need to start throwing it sooner than later. But given that my fish just started eating top water, I don't think I'm too late to the game to start throwing that. There's a floating jointed claw 178. But I have been throwing the well, I don't know where it went, but whatever. I need to find that later. But my slide swimmer is in a little bait wrap. somewhere around here. I'll find it. So anyway, yeah, Savage Gear calls their stuff Duratech. And I thought I had maybe the Molex stuff in here too. Yeah, there's that slide swimmer. Ned Salamander. It's the deal. And if you don't know, now you know. Okay. Same with the Baby Z2. If you didn't know, now you know. So what else do you guys want to talk about? What, a beetle spin? What is TK's favorite bait? Jermaine, I'm sorry I didn't greet you earlier, dude, but good to see you in here. Hope you're having a great Saturday night. It was fun to get poed up with you last weekend. I'm sorry if I was a little bit rowdy in slamming the rest of that bottle of whiskey, dude. That was crazy. And fun. Oh, TK hates the Chad Chat or what? Just because he's been painting him? Or why does he hate the Chad Chat? Or does he actually love it? You know, one day after Matt says it was his last JDM unboxing in a long while, he definitely wants to try a Shuttertail 250. Here comes Brendan just selling big game. He's a big game lover. Well, I'm glad you thought it was funny. I couldn't even, after I saw Frank saying the next morning those silly comments about how, he was upset that he fell asleep before I started talking about 69 and Beaver. I couldn't remember exactly when I had said those, and I couldn't track that down to see exactly the context that those are brought up in, but pretty funny. Really, are people just talking about the Chad nonstop on Swimbait Universe? Interesting. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to drink this second beer a little bit faster. I didn't really have a ton more to talk about tonight. I don't want to spoil exactly what's in my cart right now at Discount Tackle because, of course, I will unbox that for you after I place the order and it arrives. But it's going to be a combination of stuff that we talked about tonight. So it won't really be all that surprising to you when you do see them, right? It'll be some stuff that was on sale and some stuff that is or was new recently at Discount Tackle. And so I'll say one more time, if you are interested in grabbing any of the stuff that we talked about earlier on this stream, click the link that I just posted in the live stream chat and also is listed in the description of this video down below. It does help me just a little bit, but more so, it helps my relationship with Discount Tackle and them knowing that I sent you their way. I did post on Instagram earlier today, giving you guys a heads up that Discount Tackle was running this sale and told you that I would probably post some photos in the coming days of some of my favorite baits from these three companies that I recommend picking up. Yeah. Sorry about that, dude. Also, not that sorry, but I wish we could have been hanging out in person together, You guys just talking about your big baits and TK. There's 22 people in here right now, and I think there's only 3 or 4 of you guys actually chatting in the live stream or the live chat. It's like Jermaine, Matt, and Brendan, um, which is totally fine and somewhat typical of like our group chat on Instagram. But some of the rest of you guys in here right now, feel free to throw anything at me, ask any questions that you might have before we dip out of here. You know, it is 10:30 my time, 12:30 East Coast right now, so I understand it's late and that this stream is typically known as the late night stream to most people, and that's understandable, right? I've got 3 young kids and I live in Colorado, so it's hard for me to get on earlier than that, especially when most of the days that I end up streaming are when my wife is working. So I'm responsible for, uh, the entire house. Right? So cleaning up from dinner when my wife leaves for work, entertaining and cleaning up the kids, getting them ready for bed, putting them down to bed. And by the time that all happens, it's usually a little after 8 o'clock my time. And then I can't get fired up and going here until about 9 o'clock, just in case they're struggling to fall asleep and whatnot. All right, Carol, you're shopping online right now. No problem. No problem. Brendan says, "Tell us about these ponds you fished. What was the cover like?" Um, so it was mostly overhanging trees. It was a lot of um, what are the trees called? I mean, there's Spanish moss hanging from them, but they're not cypress trees because they're not in the water per se. But tons of overhanging trees, and then some like bushes and logs and stuff on the bottom. But this was a shallow pond. I would say on average maybe 4 feet deep, and so it ranged from as shallow as a foot to as deep as maybe 5 or 6 feet. But most of what I was fishing was right in that like 3 to 4 foot zone. And yes, it was Florida-ish. Um, there was some grass and scum on the bottom, but it was like it was very dark in color. So not super healthy green grass by any means. So didn't have a lot on the surface of the water, which is why initially I felt like, oh, I could throw a top water on here with treble hooks. And I ended up throwing a plopper and a popper as much or more than I threw a frog. But once I wasn't getting bit on top, that's why I went subsurface and started trying to target them um, chasing with faster moving baits. Before then, I slowed down a little bit and started throwing slower moving baits and ended up catching them on, the speed worm, just on like a medium or even medium slow type of retrieve. But no, I enjoyed it just fine. I'm not super picky about uh, the conditions or certain types of cover, but it was fairly bland, right? I mean, it was relatively predictable where the fish would be stacking up, given the time of day and just how hot it was and where the shade was. So I was fishing along the edges of the pond and close to the overhanging trees and where there was visible shade, or trying to fish where there were little the bubblers, not exactly fountains, but there were like 3 fountains in this pond. It was a beautiful area, uh, really cool to see. But in fact, I could show you a photo or two of just like what it looked like. I think, um, I think I have 1 or 2 photos. And there was a trail that was winding all through this place. Um, Yeah, it's not a great representation of what it looked like because this was an area that was a bit more open than most, but you'll see that, like this tree, I don't need you to see the reflection of the screen and the stream, but you're just going to see my light and everything else. So these trees were creating the shadows probably 5 to 10 feet off the bank on certain parts um, of those. But yeah, it was unfortunate. I don't think there was a wide variety of species um, in these bodies of water. There were bluegill and tilapia up shallow for sure. I definitely saw a couple of bigger fish that looked like they were probably catfish, but could have been something else. I'm fairly certain there were not peacock in this place, but largemouth were really what I was going for. Had I had more time to fish or places to explore and knew where I was going, it would have been a different thing. But this was just on the property where I was staying. I walked to it. Took me 10 minutes to get there. Uh, there was one other spot that was like 2 miles away on the golf course that I knew held fish, but I just didn't have time to get there. And I also didn't know if it was kosher for me to be doing that. So for me to risk it for the potential biscuit, uh, just was a decision I had to make in the moment. But I did not spot any alligators. We went to we went on one boat ride at sunset for the sake of being able to see wild horses and dolphins and turtles. Uh, and we went to one beach in particular to find shark's teeth. All those things were pretty cool. But didn't see any gators, didn't see any venomous or other types of snakes. We saw signs for rattlesnakes and things like that. We heard about the potential for gators to be in one or two of the spots that we were at, but no, didn't spot any. Would I rather fish grass, rock, or wood? That's a good question. Mm. If I could only have one, I would probably choose rock. Um, but with the bodies of water that I fish, grass tends to be more of what I come into, and so that suits my style of fishing a little bit better. Um, but I like the transition that rock presents and higher percentage areas, and it's a little bit easier for me to be able to read. And as a bank angler, I'd rather be able to fish riprap and then fish off of the drop off where the rock becomes a little bit more sparse and fish larger boulders and higher percentage areas. So yeah, I'd probably choose rock if I could only have one, but I also like fishing wood. I like fishing trees and laydowns and have had a lot of success by them. It's just I don't do a ton of it, and I don't have a lot of docks to fish either. So um, that's a great question, though. Jermaine, yeah, I that is an interesting question, dude. I was like, I don't know, 30 minutes from the Georgia border, I think. It was north of Jacksonville by like 30 or 45 minutes. I didn't, dude. I brought just one of them. I didn't throw any of my crankbaits, but I literally only brought 3. I brought one Strike King KBD wake bait. I brought that new Bomber Shallow A that I bought last week, and then one BDS1. And I didn't fish any of them. So, no. I should have, though. It's like I was having success on a swimming worm by the time that I even considered throwing a crankbait. And the funny thing is, when those kids were watching me and asking for recommendations, the kid didn't have, I mean, he was throwing just wacky setups. And eventually he went and got his tackle box and showed me what he had and asked what I would recommend. And out of the stuff that he had, I suggested, well, I mean, I could give you a bullet weight and you could try one of, these curly tail worms that you've got, or I could give you a bait, or based out of what you've got, I think perhaps that square bill crankbait might actually do the trick, because it was a shallow diving square bill that he had. I think just a Strike King something rather. And I said, that's one bait that I haven't tried, but based on exploring the water column and knowing how deep this place is, I think you'll barely be bumping bottom, and you're probably not going to get hung up. The fish might like that type of action. So, if you're just hanging in that 2 to 4 foot zone, that could be a good move. And yeah, I didn't take my own advice in that moment. I was left with like 20 minutes left to fish at that point. So I just kept fishing the same turbo fatties that I had on, that I had already caught 2 fish in the last half hour on, and just tried to cover as much water as I could. It was a fairly decent sized pond. It had like a lot of different pockets. I could show you guys a map of it, but that's a good point. This pond was not necessarily behind gates, but it was within the community of this hotel. So it was one of many, but it was designated as a fishing pond. So I think it was like exclusively for hotel guests, but probably pretty pressured. Now, people were probably fishing a wide variety of baits, including night crawlers and for any type of fish that they could catch. So um, I don't know exactly how much it gets fished. I only saw those 2 kids while I was there the second day, and one other small family the first time I went. So it wasn't crowded either time. I'll say that. Jermaine, I'm with you on that. John wants the grass. Brendan doesn't fish rock. All right, Brendan, you're welcome to do that, dude. Please do hit me up on Instagram or what have you. So I appreciate a couple of you guys jumping in to actually contribute a little bit. Um, Matt, that's nice that you get a nice little combo of all 3, rock, wood, and grass. I usually have to switch up the bodies of water that I go to. I'm usually fishing rock at bigger reservoirs. I'm fishing grass at smaller ponds. Well, most ponds here that are urban, and then wood. I've got to go to very specific areas to be able to like go out of my way to fish a lot of wood. Otherwise, it's a few key pieces of wood at each place that I go. but I can't really plan to go fish wood all day anywhere around here. So, yeah. Rock the bass, says Carol. I'm with you on that. Well, no problem, Matt. Glad to make work go a little bit quicker and happy to hear that you've only got 6 hours left to work. You get off it at 7 a.m. Carol says, okay, y'all, Smallies, drop shot, and a Ned rig. Yeah, it depends on the bottom structure, but yes, those are great techniques. Um, absolutely. But you can also throw a much wider variety of techniques at them. You could just throw a standalone swim bait, small profile, like a 3-inch bait. You can throw a chatterbait. You can throw a fluke. You can throw, a weightless stick bait, or jigs are awesome on smallies. So uh, you could throw a wide variety of stuff at them, but yeah, I think that's a great place to start. Um, drop shot just historically is one of the best ways to do it, but I think Texas rig and a jig are probably underrated and will be just as effective as both the drop shot and the Ned. But yes, also just a finesse swim bait if you're looking to move it. Trying to minimize what you're taking. So then, yes. Only thing is, how rocky is the bottom? Because a drop shot and a Ned could end up getting you hung a lot. So maybe bring a drop shot, a Ned rig, and finesse swim baits, right? That way, you've got 3 different profiles, but also 3 different rigs, right? With the drop shot, you need the weights, you need the hooks, and you need more of a worm style profile for the most part, but you can throw anything on a drop shot. A Ned rig, you're going to throw either a craw or a worm the vast majority of the time. Um, and then on a finesse swim bait, you're going to throw a finesse swim bait. Although you could throw something that's a dead action style bait. If you've got anything that's a downsized fluke, you could throw that on a ball head, a Ned rig, and a drop shot. That's kind of big reason that I love the Baby Z2 and the 4-inch streaks or scented jerk shads from Z-Man. Very, very good. Well, it depends on how big the rocks are, but yeah, I would still stand by those. Or finesse jerkbait, small downsized jerkbait could be the deal. So if you've got like a 3 to 4-inch size jerkbait, could be sinking or it could be suspending. Either way is totally fine. Um, if it's going to be a lake, I would go with the suspending jerkbait. If it's going to be moving water, I would go with the sinking jerkbait. But you could still throw a sinking jerkbait in still water, but you'll need to throw it on a straight retrieve, rarely stopping the bait. But small flukes, tons of those. Yep. Yep. All right, no problem, Brennan. I'm about to get out of here too. We've been on nearly 2 hours. So um, thank you for hanging out tonight. Appreciate it. And it is late. I understand that. So Matt's going to drive around the perimeter, keep an eye out, keeping everybody safe. All right, guys. I am going to get out of here. It's a good time to do that. I'm going to finish the rest of this beer. In honor of America. So happy 4th of July. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. 22 people in here still somehow. Appreciate y'all. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up. Check out Discount Tackle. Use my link. And yeah, love you guys. Happy 4th of July. I will see you again perhaps before the 4th of July. My wife is working another 2 out of the next 3 nights. But have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your day tomorrow. And I'll see you guys again real soon. Peace.